Episode 6, Technology as a Pharmakon. When I was in university, Concordia University in Montreal, I had a very good professor. We were actually just in touch until recently. And in the courses in which we were reading Plato and seeking to understand a lot about the fundamental questions of justice and whether might is right and all of the rest, there came the notion of the Pharmakon. This is a philosophical idea, and it is really the most important one is the dichotomy between remedy and poison. And it's in that I've been thinking about technology in this way for many years. I'm, of course, a techno-optimist. I'm a huge fan of social media networks. I love to be able to write code or to try to understand how to write code. Obviously, podcasting, anything with computers, apps, smartphones. I'm a huge proponent of such, and I try to use them in my life. But at the same time, I find that there is this poison that comes with it as well, particularly when it comes to social media and it comes to how it is changing the way that we work and the way that we are able to interact with not just friendships, but our relationships and everyone around us. And this kind of pharmakon now with technology is one that is affecting a lot of us. And it's a very, very difficult distinction that we're going to have to try to understand with every advancement that we have. There's a good Netflix series that I'd recommend to you called The Unnatural Evolution that's out now, and it's talking about gene editing and CRISPR technology and what the future will be, and that is very present at this debate. There's plenty of good that can be done with it, but plenty of bad as well. This kind of can of worms that we would be opening if we did allow human institutions to modify DNA and to actually have human-driven gene drive and evolution. And in technology, it's much the same. I think anyone who's watched the series Black Mirror also understands it as well. It's a lot about how technology is changing our relationships, it's changing our values, and while it might be connecting all of us all over the world, it's also diluting many of the closer relationships that we had, particularly when it comes to close friendships, and think of your family members as well. This is not a very new idea. It's something that many authors and philosophers, as I mentioned before, have written about, have talked about, give allusions to. There's an article that I wrote for Devolution Review last year called Crypto Imagination and the Coming Nightmare, in which a lot of this comes really from all the old Greek philosophical notions, but has been very, very present in particularly English literature. One of my favorite is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, written when she was but a teenager, one of, I think, the best novels in the world. And Dr. Frankenstein's creation, that we now know dubbed as Frankenstein, is the ultimate pharmakon. It's destructive to itself, human civilization, but at the same time it represents something of a positive marvel, something so great that could bring us so much more innovation, prosperity, and really we'd be able to achieve so much in our dreams. There's a lot that is also brought up with everything that's happening now, with all of us being connected all the time. There are ideas, especially from the world of transhumanism, that we'll be able to upload our minds into the internet, we'll be able to achieve the singularity, as it were, and there's plenty that you can read about that. And this is where I fall in between. I'm very much dedicated to all these technologies. As I mentioned before, I think everyone should have access to them. And at the same time, it's our individual responsibility to moderate that where possible. Because as good as it can be and as much progress as there will be, there also will be ways in which we're changing our nature, changing everything that we've evolved to become. That's obviously what technology does in the first place. Everything is changing our nature, and what we were not just 10 years ago is changing every single day. I think there's a lot more to come to this. I'd be interested in hearing any of your thoughts. If you have any, This is why I really like the engagement. So if you do like some of the topics discussed here or any of the other episodes, I'd love to hear it. I think there's going to be a lot more stuff coming, at least in the next 2 years, on automation, artificial intelligence, and the creeping insight of how technology and AI is infiltrating our lives, either making them better or in some ways removing us from our nature. There's a lot more to come to that. Hope you stay tuned. Au revoir et à la prochaine.